Good day, everyone. In this video, we're dealing with the unit circle and the trig identities. Alright, there's some bit of information that we have to address before we get into it. Alright, pre-Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving break, and afterwards is going to be time to demonstrate your skills. So look, you got a lot on your plate to deal with, and you choose to do it, it'd be awesome. If you choose not to, that's just simply your responsibility. All right, so guys, I will no longer tolerate you guys coming to class without knowing your stuff. Cause the issues I'm having with you guys is been taught the homework, all that. Then you come in the next class acting brand new. We will no longer tolerate that. If you guys are truly doing the homework, you come in the next class period knowing what's up. I get it, you see me every other day, but that's still not an excuse that I will no longer tolerate. So come to class knowing your stuff. Otherwise, it's going to count against you. You can't do that. It's not fair. Unfortunately, life is not fair. But this is to prepare you to teach you for a lesson that you guys are still lacking. Come from Thanksgiving break knowing stuff that was taught to you. Am I asking you to know everything and master everything that was being taught to you? No, I'm not saying that at all. Throughout Thanksgiving break, you should be able, and I'm not asking you to spend all Thanksgiving break focusing on math. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is throughout the day, just get some of it done. So when you come back, you know what's up. If you don't come with that, that's still going to hurt you a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of points is being thrown at you, and you really have to be able to do it. As I told you guys before, Algebra 2 is not an easy subject. It is the subject that most people fail. I know you guys like to complain and fuss, but at this point, you gotta do it or you don't. It's your choice. Come to tutoring. It can actually save your life. When you are in tutoring, you are discussing, you are talking to me. You are really getting those bonus points that could help you out. But if you can't, prioritize what's important, which is that tutoring, that's on you. I got stuff to do. I got X, Y, Z in the third. You may, you may, as do I, but guess what? I dedicate time to be there for you guys. You guys should be meeting me the same way. I'm not one of those teachers who don't care. I've never been that teacher, nor will I be. I'm always going to dedicate myself to help you guys out, but if you can't meet me halfway, don't expect to pass the class. You might as well go ahead and just talk to the counselor about credit recovery, because you're surely going to fail this. Reminders and updates. Again, when you are absent, you are responsible to watch videos to ensure mastery of the lesson. Anything that you don't understand, if I can't address it in that class session, you are still responsible of making sure that you figure it out. If you don't know it, videos are there. I don't do these videos for health purposes. However, when you fail my class and you like the teacher did not do enough, these videos are going to be thrown up in your face and hold you accountable to it. Again, no one had no excuse of why they couldn't pass Mr. Howard's class. You don't have it. You don't even get the options to say it. You must this is new. So let me address this part. You must provide communication for the video to watch to ensure you are doing your part. I don't know if you are truly doing your part or not. To assure that I know that you are and to help you when it comes to determining do you pass or do you fail, watch the video, send comments. Hey, Mr. Howard, your handwriting sucks. Mr. Howard, that was a good lesson. whatever. But make sure that you provide thorough communication. So therefore, again, when you bring your parents to conferences, which I am in them a lot, or why you failed the class, and the question going to be remain, did you watch the videos that was taught to you? Did you come to tutoring? Did you do the homework with accuracy? Did you really try to get it that was in the classroom? If you hadn't, if you can't answer those questions, you got nothing. You're gonna lose, and you just made your parents look silly because you brought them in thinking that someone did you wrong, but you did yourself wrong. Any deals that I made with you guys must be fulfilled. Otherwise, deals are no longer going to be made. The deals are just a little, sweetness to kind of make the class a little bit more entertaining. And again, to get credit for tutoring, you must participate. We are busy. Lots is happening. Not happened, happening. Do not ask for, I gotta go this class, I gotta go here, I gotta go here. The answer's gonna be no. And you throw a tantrum, then I'm gonna send you out. And then you go wherever you go. But please know, once you get put up, you do have a zero. As I did to several of you guys. Last, assigned seats will happen. Because unfortunately, we gotta do it. Because some of you, unfortunately, are here to a streamer for the wrong reasons. We like to trash talk the school, me included, but the question remains, because we all go to the place, what are we doing to make things better? If not, you part of the reason why this school is called the Dirty Eye. If we're going to be dirty eye, that means you, me, we are all dirty. Because if you're not bringing it to make the place better, that's on you. So let's end the complaining and let's just demonstrate, because unless you show me skill, anything you say at this moment does not matter. And again, if I can't get you together, you're going to have to bounce. My classroom setup is going to look exactly like this. All right? Make sure you are at the place where you need to be at. All right, let's get into it. Round one. Record a triangle review. All right, let's go through this. 56. We could break that down to square root 8 times square root 7, right? And then we could break down 8 into 4 times 2. Square root 4 is what? 2. What's square root 2 times square root 7? Square root 14. Just like that. Alright. Let's do the second problem. Rationalizing the radical. How do we do that? So, of course, multiply both by the radical, which is radical 36. 2 times 6, square root 12, and this is 3. 3 square root. I'm breaking down 12 to 3 times 4 over 6. Because square root 36 is 6. But we know the square root of 4 is square root 2. So that's going to be 3 times square root 2 over 3 over 6. 3 times 2 is what? 6 square root 3 over 6. Simplify that. What am I left with? Square root 3. Not bad, huh? Let's do this one. L 45, we know that if one of the legs is 3 square root 8, the other one should be the same. Now we gotta find the hypotenuse of this. 3 square root 8 times square root 2. Yeah, what's 8 times 2? Square root 16. Square root of 16 is what? 4. 3 times 4 equals 12. Just like that. And again, if you are struggling with this, come see me. Or go play some Kahoots to get this done with. Again, you are responsible to make sure that you understand the material. If you don't, it's up to you to make the decision of what more practice you need. Because one thing that I'm not going to do too much of is doing the same thing over and over and over again. You must come to class with some knowledge. Otherwise, when you don't, I'm after you in this grade book. And y'all think it's a game? I wish you guys would try me. Are we ready? Let's do this 30. So this is the short leg. And what we know about the long leg and the hypotenuse is that the hypotenuse, why not, is going to be the short leg times 2. And since 2 and 5 are integers, that's going to be 10 square root 7. So that's going to be the hypotenuse of this. Now I got to find the long leg. I'm going to work this out here. So y'all, the long leg of this is going to be 5 times square root 7 times square root 3. Yeah, what's 7 times 3? Let me erase this. And 5 is just 5. So let me ask you this. Does 5 have a perfect square anywhere? Can you break 21 down to where that either one of the numbers are a perfect square? No. Because look, 7 times 3, just look at them. Those equals 21, but they're not perfect squares, so you couldn't simplify that. Alright, y'all. Unit circle, radians, you guys know how to do this. We've been doing this for a while. To get to radians, you divide pi over 180. So again, after today, there's no repeat of the same lesson. Go home, make sure you know what's up. Or if you one of those fellas who get it in class or who don't need to review, cool. But just come to class, know what's up. Because again, if you ain't together, your senior year, you're going to have to take an extra class, which I hope none of you guys don't have to. Alright, moving on, people. Convert the following 2 degrees. 40 degrees. We know we just got to divide this by 180. So 40 pi over 180. You leave the pi alone. So we could simplify that. 4 over 18. Greatest common factor of these are 2. 2 divided by 2. Oh, let me write this down. Because I know I'm just going like lightning quick. And some of you guys are like, I don't know what you're doing. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Keep the pi. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Just like that. $220 divided by 180. And this is pi, that's part of the formula. So 220 divided by 2. What's 220? Well, before we do that, just get rid of zeros. Greatest common factor of 22 and 18 is both 2. 22 divided by 2 is what? 11 pi. 18 divided by 2 is 9. There we go. That is how you work these kind of problems. And again, by now you don't know how to do this. You may want to figure out how much practice you need, because again, I'm not spending all this 9 weeks going over this. You guys know this, so please put some effort behind this. The unit circle. We've been on this too, so again, after today, I'm not spending too much time on it because you guys should know what's up. So, got the unit circle, and we know when it's a positive, it goes counterclockwise, but when it's negative, it goes clockwise. Alright? So you guys, this is the equation of the unit circle. What's that one representing? The radius. The radius is 1. Right? Nothing really to this. Y'all know this. Alright. On your unit circle, I told you to plot coordinates of 1, 0, because again, the 1 is their radius, and that's how far it goes. And 0 because that's the coordinate where we touches. Remember, that's the definition of a circle. The distance from the center really talks about where it's a circle, basically. So that's in quadrant 1. And you should be able to do this too. In quadrant 2, when you're at 90 degrees, it's going to be 0, 1. And you guys should be drawing this with your unit circle. In quadrant 3, negative 1, 0. Why is that? Why in quadrant 2, rather, is negative 1, 0? Because x in quadrant 2 is negative. So remember, it's negative x, y in quadrant 2. So y'all do not forget your 90, your 180. I mean, not your 90, 180. 0 to 90 is pretty much what it's in quadrant 1. Alright? So when you get from the end of quadrant 2 to the end of quadrant 3, at 270 degrees, it's going to be 2. It's going to be 0, 1, 0, negative 1. And then from 270 to 360, of course, it goes back to 1, 0. I was tripping on that one. So 1, 2. Well, 1 still. 90 degrees is in quadrant 1. 180 is in quadrant 2. Quadrant 3. in quadrant 4. And that's hard to read. Don't worry about because it's all right there. Just again, this is how you should have your unit circle label. And I know you guys wouldn't have copied the unit circle from in there, which is all right. But again, if you don't know how to do this unit circle, there's literally no point. These are the basic 6 trig ratios, right? Well, throughout this lesson, you're gonna know the trig reciprocals, the trig ratio reciprocals. I'll tell you about those later. But remember what I told you about why tangent is not a true trig ratio? Here's why. And I want you guys to know this because this is a part where you yourself have to know this in terms of quiz and test. If you cannot do this, again, please come to them and try to understand it. All right. So we know the trig ratio. Let me erase this because I want to put this at the top. Because I want you guys to see why tangent is not a true trig function. So let's do it. So we got sine and we got cosine. So why don't we just divide them, the two ratios? So remember, keep change flip. You're going to keep this ratio. I'm going to do it for you. Opposite over here, HYP, hypotenuse. Change division to multiplication. And flip the cosine, HYP, over ADJ. What cancels? And tan equals what? Opposite over adjacent. You must know how to do that. All right. Before we move on, that's another thing. Well, we get to that when we get to that. Well, no, let me say it right here. You notice that the point right here is cosine comma sine. So instead of you using x and y, it's cosine comma sine. And the outside of this unit circle that we're going to be dealing with are the values you're looking for. So if I say give me the value of 5x when x equals 2, that's what I'm asking you for. And x is going to be, the value of this is going to be 10. That's what I'm asking you to do. Just that. All right. All right, yeah, let's go ahead. So yeah, we're going to talk about these a little later on. Right now, I need for you to focus on this. So yeah, these, what I'm going to show you are going to be the inverses. So yeah, the inverse of sine is called cosecant. This means inverse of sine. So of course, when I'm saying inverse, just like with divine fractions, you got to flip. So that's going to be the hypotenuse over the opposite. Cosine, the inverse of that is going to be known as secant. That's going to be hypotenuse over the adjacent. And tangent is known to be cotangent. And that's going to be adjacent over opposite. All right. So y'all, these right here are the Pythagorean identities. So with this, remember I told you about those proofs? Those are the things that we're going to have to prove. But using your trig ratios is going to help us through all of these. Okay, so that's what you will end up having to do. But the trig identities, we may take a little time to discuss that. I probably may not put this on the quiz. So this blank circle, this is what I want you guys to do with me with this video. So yeah, let's go ahead and do it. This is how many degrees in this circle? 30. I'm not asking you to convert degrees to radians because again, we are focused on the outside of all this. And I know I can't draw. Alright, so make yourself a triangle on this edge. Because you're trying to figure out what this point is. That's what you're trying to find. But before we continue, my peoples, we gotta know this. Because remember, it's cosine, comma sine. If I ask you for cosine of 0 degrees, the outside of this is going to be 1. Remember how I told you 1, 0, 0, 1? That is why cosine, comma sine. What's sine of 0 degrees? Well, if you remember that pair is going to be 0. I will show you how to do this in the calculator, but mind you that the calculator could get you information so far. So I'm going to show it to you, but the calculator doesn't tell you everything. The ones that you guys are using, that is. Are we ready? So let me ask you this. What is going to be my radius from all these angles? What's my radius going to always be? My radius is going to be 1. Okay? So let's go ahead and put these pieces together, because we're going to have to find the following. Sine, well, cosine 30, and sine of 30. Are we ready? And that's 30 degrees, that is. Alright, let's figure this out. So using your properties of the 30-60 triangle, you know that the short leg, which one's the short leg in this picture? Is it going to be here or here? Which leg is shorter? Here or here? I know you guys are used to this being the short, this being the long because it's standing up, but if you look at this, this is your short, this is your long. Are we ready? So the short leg is going to be right here. And that was the long leg I erased. That wasn't one. So now let's go ahead and find it. So using our knowledge of our 36 triangle to get from the hypotenuse to the short leg, you divide by 2. So 1 divided by 2 is just 1/2. Okay, so now we gotta go from, now we gotta find out the long leg of this. What's the long leg of this? So you gotta use your knowledge of your 30/60. Square root 3. But square root 3 times what though? Remember, the long is always short times square root 3. So the short leg is 1/2 times the square root 3 is going to be 3 square root 3 over 2. All right. Are we ready? So let's go ahead and find let's go ahead and find our trig ratios because I want you to do sine, cosine, and tangent of 30. So now to do this, you gotta do your trig ratios. So let's do us cosine. So the cosine of this is, what's the ratio for cosine? Adjacent over the hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is pretty much just this. Let me erase this. So anything divided by 1 is what? 3 square root 2. That's the cosine of that. All right. Let's go ahead and find the sine of this. So opposite over the hypotenuse. So 1/2 divided by 1. Anything divided by 1 is obviously itself. So it's just 1/2. And this is the cosine. And this is your sine. We cool? All right, are we ready? Let's try to find tangent. Let's see, can we find tangent? Tangent is a challenge. But you know what? I'm gonna have you figure out what tangent is. What's tangent of 30? You gotta figure that one out. I'm not gonna do that one because again, here's the thing. I need for you guys to think, and to do that, you gotta use your trig ratios. So go back and look at those trig ratios and find out what that is, and you yourself must figure that out. All right. So I'm gonna be on this forward. I'm gonna erase this. Now we're gonna do 45. So on your unit circle still, this is your 45 degrees right here. All right. So I know that you guys know all of this. I know you guys do. Because again, you can look up the internet. It has all that for you. But again, if you don't know how to do it, you pretty much wasted your time copying and pasting. Again, that's what happens when you just copy and paste. You don't know what you're doing. Can't complete a unit circle if you don't know what you're doing. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the 45 degrees. So we are given the radius of 1. That's the hypotenuse of that. But what rules do we know about all of this? What particular rules do we know? What do you know about the hypotenuse? The hypotenuse is what? I'll write this on the bottom here. It's always going to be that leg times 2. Alright? So this is just 1, right? So the answer to this hypotenuse, what it's going to be now in the unit circle, is just going to be the square root of 2. Now we got to figure out this leg here and this leg here. That's what we got to figure out. But we know that if whatever we found for this leg, the other leg is going to be the same exact thing. That's what we must figure out. I wonder how we're going to figure that out. How are we going to figure it out, yo? Well, any ideas yet? The good news is this. Let's figure this out then. Because we know that this is one with the square root of 2, so let's figure out. You know the answer, but we still got to figure all this out. Because remember, if this has a 1 in it, that should have a 1 in it too. that has a 1 in it also. So with this, you have to literally think this out. So let's go for it. And again, because this hypotenuse had a 1, my adjacent had a 1, and my opposite has a 1. So now, let's go ahead and find sine of 45. And again, I'm looking for the exact values, but to do that, we're going to do the following. Opposite over hypotenuse. So 1 divided by square root of 2. How are we going to get to it? Remember how you have to do this. Remember, you got to rationalize your denominator. That's how you know it. Square root 2 times square root 2 is what? Square root 4. 1 times square root 2 is square root 2. We know that square root 4 is what? Just 2. Square root 2. So we figure out what our sine of 45 is going to be. It's going to be in the first one and the second. All right. What's cosine? Again, you gotta know what's up. So I'm gonna let you figure out cosine with actually me showing the work. Again, all this is evaluating what you need. So what if I was to ask you to find tangent? Guys, show me how to do all that. But again, use your trig ratios to help you. Your trig ratios to help you, because on my quiz, again, if you can't show the work, your answer unfortunately means very little to me. So let's go ahead and just actually know what we're doing. All right. I should have this 60, but 60 is very similar to 30. So yeah, the definition of a reference angle. Reference angles are positive acute angles. So basically what this saying is that if I have a 30 degrees, it's going to be 30 degrees here. So let me ask you this. In quadrant 2, what degree is this going to be? I know it's something with a 30, but what's that true degree going to be? That reference angle. So remember how we did 180 minus 150? That's going to be 30. That's going to be not 150. It's 180. I'm sorry. Minus 30, which gave you your 150. So that's 150. And the reason why this is a reference angle to wasn't quadrant 1 because you had to use 30 to get to that angle. So again, wherever my value is here, which again cosine is 1 over 2, 3 square root 2 over 1 over 2 for sine. Guess what? In quadrant for B, guess what that measurement is going to be for cosine of 150? is going to be essentially the same thing. The only difference is, depending on what quadrant I'm in, I may have a negative answer. So this may be negative. And let me erase this. Negative square root 3 over 2. That's what that came in. Just like that. That's all you gotta do, y'all. Just like that. But before we continue, I want you guys to fully understand this some more. So, that's one reference angle of 30. What angle is this going to be right here? Well, the highest degree it could be is 270. So 270 minus 30 is what? 240, right? So if I ask you for sine of 240, I'm asking, the answer is going to be -1. Don't forget, because this is 270, this is going to be -0, -1. And remember, the coordinates is going to be cosine, comma sine. All right. So let's do in quadrant 4. $360 minus 30. That's just 330, right? So cosine of 330 is going to be square root of 3 positive 2. Because in this case, x is positive, y is negative. However, I know it's a mistake that I need to immediately address. It's going to be right here. I'll explain to you why. Let me erase all this because there's a bunch of numbers on the board. So all I'm saying is, we know that the cosine of 30 degrees is square root 3, 2. We know that, right? Because you have 30 degrees here, guess what? The reference angle is going to have that same square root 3, 2, but it's going to be positive or negative. It's going to be negative. What about in quadrant 3? It's going to be also -3 square root 2. And what about quadrant 4? Square root 3, comma 2. That's it. All positive and negatives, just like that, my people. Nothing more to it, nothing less. And again, the reference angle of this one in quadrant 2 is what? 150, 240, 330, and of course in 30. Just like that. Again, come see me if you need further assistance. Now we're going to find the exact values of the following. So what's cosine 90? So of course you can look at your unit circle. Cosine is 0. And that's that. Again, you could just look at your unit circle of that. Alright. What's sine of 45 degrees? And we did that within our unit circle. Alright. The trig inverses, that's why these, for the moment, you see this guy right here, COT, these problems right here, we're going to worry about those later. Those are the things that will be on my test, not the quiz. Alright. So, what's the sine of 240? So here's the issue that I will caution you guys on. On my quiz, I'm going to ask you a very hard question because these things, only thing I do is look at the unit circle. I may put 1 or 2 questions on my quiz for that, for you to get to the answer of that. So, 270, I mean, sine of 240. If you look at, I will ask you a question without your unit circle to explain to me the value of sine 240. Notice I said the word explain. I didn't say give me, so that does not mean, okay, go to the unit circle, oh, it's just that. No. You have to explain to me why that value happens. So you will say the following. So if I was to subtract if I was because it's 240, that means that the highest degree I could have in that quadrant, which is quadrant 3, is 270. So if I subtract 270 from 240, I get 30 degrees. 30 degrees. So that means that this is my reference angle. And because of that, my reference angle is telling me that sine is going to be 1/2 because sine of 30 is 1/2. But wait a minute though, is that going to be complete? We said that 240 is in quadrant 3, right? That's right here. So is that going to be positive or negative? Remember in quadrant 3, everybody's negative, so bam. And that's what you're going to have to do for that. So again, this secant, all these problems right here, because I want you to worry about sine, cosine, tangent for quiz, but on test, you're gonna know those 3. All right, moving along. If sine theta is 3/5 and is between 90 and 180 degrees, find the exact values of sine theta, tan theta. What is theta? What is that? So you guys in trigonometry, theta is another word for x. That's what it is. It's just saying x is. So to solve a problem like this, you gotta do the following. Ninety is between in which quadrant? It's in quadrant 2. So now we're going to find the exact values of cosine and sine. But let's do this. So our trig ratios is going to help us. So when it comes to this, you must know your trig ratios. So what is sine? What is this trig ratio? Alright? So it's basically telling you it's 3/5, right? So now, from there, you gotta take it and put it at the places. So where's the opposite leg stand at? 3. And what's the hypotenuse? 5. You gotta find out what the adjacent is. Uh-oh. To do the adjacent, you must, well, use Pythagorean. -5 minus 9. X squared equals 16, and this simplifies to what? 4. But where's 4 coming from? You notice how I'm taking square root of both sides, so what happens between the square root and that square? That disappears. X equals 4. Now we could do cosine and tangent. Cosine. If you know your trig ratio, you could get that done as adjacent over the hypotenuse. And you know I'm not going to always write these out for you. You guys are big boys and girls. You guys could do this by now. And tangent. I need for you to figure out what tangent is yourself. You should know these trig ratios. There's no me going back and forth with you guys on it. If you don't know, please replay what I did earlier in the video. Again, you are required to knowing some of this. Can't keep doing the work for you. Alright. I'm not going to do this problem for you because after I show you what cotangent is all about, because that's what that is, you're going to go back to these problems that I left blank and you are going to handle it yourself. So again, you must truly understand and also be careful of academic dishonesty. So that means that you students decide to go copy and paste or find some answers to wherever. I'm gonna find out because you students like to turn in work that you always know is not yours, but yet you can't explain it. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna give you a quiz, and it may not be open notes. In the event that you decide to do that and you can't show me the skill, you get 0 on the homework and you get a 0 on the quiz. So again, do your best to figure this out. All right. To actually help you with this kind of problem, we have to address what this means. So in terms of the triangle, which is those trig ratios, you gotta be able to figure this one out. So if sine is opposite over adjacent, the sine inverse is called the cosecant, right? And when it comes to the trig ratios, you just gotta flip it over. Ooh, I was wrong on sine. It's opposite of the hypotenuse. I be forgetting these things sometimes. So for cosecant, it's the hypotenuse over the opposite. Just like that. So if tangent is opposite over the adjacent, we gotta flip it over for the cotangent. That's going to be adjacent of the hypotenuse. That's it. So that being said, let's go ahead and figure this out. So they give us this guy. So that means that my adjacent is square root of 11 and my hypotenuse is 5. Ooh, why I keep hypotenuse? No, it's opposite. So the adjacent is square root of 11. Then the opposite is 5. Now we gotta find out what this hypotenuse is. How do you do that? Five squared plus 11 square root of 11 square equals your hypotenuse. So this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to figure this one out on your own because I did set you up on it. I want you to figure this out. So I'm not going to do it for you. You got to figure this one out. And it's the same for these kind of problems.